All right, so man, this NFL drama with Gruden's emails and all the scandals going on, it's getting serious. They are taking these issues to Congress, and that just increases the severity of the situation tenfold. So let's talk about it. Tay, you're a Raiders fan first off, so I know you were hurt when the Gruden stuff came out. Um, and I know you weren't a fan of the new coach coming up, but I think he's been doing all right. Special teams
Yeah, yeah,
guys,
yeah.
as a Ravens
He's
fan, I know that.
so I guess to kind of like speak my piece on it,
Go ahead.
to kind of quote what Derek Carr said is you love the man, but you hate the sin.
Yeah,
You kind of you can't forgive somebody. I mean, you can forgive, but you can't, just act like what he did is nothing. I mean, it is most definitely a big deal. It's not something he should be saying just so comfortably and just just with will thinking with there's not going to be any consequence of what he's saying.
yeah,
Um, it's unfortunate that it had to come out this way, but they always say what happens in the dark always comes to the light. Um, I think it's pretty unfortunate that it's happened on the grass of him being a victim of the Washington football team's investigation. But I think the main thing is that everybody needs to see the rest of those emails too. I mean, when you can't just let this guy be the scapegoat and then just let the Washington football team distract the media with all these events they're trying to hold and do all this stuff for the team and trying to just do stuff in the media to make their image look good. You gotta, you have to just go full in, just deep dive into these emails, release them, let the public see what's really going on behind the scenes of the NFL with these owners, these GMs, some obviously coaches, but yeah, I can't say that I think he should still have his job because he definitely shouldn't. If that's just how he feels about, if that's how he carries himself, if that's how he feels mentally, you can't run a team that way. It's just not going to work.
yeah. I mean, he was saying some really nasty stuff in that emails, but let's be real, he was talking to other people who agreed with him. Somebody
Absolutely.
like Bruce Allen in Washington. He's already. I mean, he's for sure he's not getting a job in the NBA or NFL ever again.
Yeah, never.
But what's kind of interesting about all this is that, like, you're right, where they kind of use John Gruden as the fall man, but it's kind of backfiring on them now because now they're just going to
Oh
investigate
yeah,
even harder. And if John Gruden's speaking like this openly and publicly, I can only imagine what other coaches, other owners, other teams, even Roger Goodell is saying behind closed doors.
yes,
And
absolutely.
there's a reason why Dan Snyder and the Washington football team have not that not much has been released about them or it's like stuff like that. I think maybe Dan Snyder's either got some dirt on other owners or higher ups, or there's definitely some emails that Goodell's covering up. He's
Yeah,
hiding
for
away, tucking
sure.
away because it might ruin the image of the league to see the amount of owners that are saying these things or allowing these things to be said.
Said yeah.
And even, I mean, like I said at the beginning, this is being taken to Congress, and even Congress people are saying something's being covered up here because it took like 2 seconds after they found those Gruden emails to immediately
Hmm.
release them, publicize it, get him fired immediately. The Dan Snyder saga has been going on for a year, and we haven't seen a
In
single
a single
email,
email,
right?
there hasn't really been a lot of news on it. It honestly, it was kind of dying down. Honestly, it really was.
Yeah.
I think they thought they were getting to a point where it would die down and then it would just smooth over, and they could, just move on about it and not really have anything to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, they got greedy. They saw an
Yeah.
opportunity to try to get a way out, and like you said, it's backfiring on them. So I think you know, once these emails come out, once we see what's really going on behind the scenes, and hopefully we get to see all the emails, and hopefully Goodell isn't covering up any emails. You know, me personally, I think there is some stuff going on behind the scenes with Goodell because there's no way after a year these emails you guys see them and then immediately they just come out like that.
Yeah.
There's no hesitation. You guys release them with no problem. you guys don't even think about reading them over to make sure like it doesn't hurt the NFL or
Yeah.
anything like that. They just immediately release them. So
So it must be a
yeah, like
lot if he
yeah,
is covering something up.
it's definitely. And another thing I want to say is who has an email thread for 7 years?
Man, I got no idea, bro.
That to me is nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy to even think that you have an email chain from going on that long. And
And
I
they're using
mean,
their work emails. Like, are you
yeah, they're
stupid?
using work emails too. It's like it's not even personal email accounts. You guys are using your work emails
Yeah.
for 7 years. You guys are sending pictures of cheerleaders saying, anti-Semitic stuff, just all this crazy stuff. It's nuts to even think that this is really what's going on in the NFL. I mean, it's not too surprising, honestly, but it's just crazy to think that it really is happening. Like it's actual reality. Everybody, has their, what ifs and could this happen or could this be going on? But when it really is going on, it makes you like kind of open your eyes a little bit. Like, okay, then if this is going on, then what the hell is everybody else saying? Like, what else is going on? What is really the how do you guys really think? So,
Yeah. And I
um,
mean, there's still a lot of racist history with the NFL. I mean, they just recently, I think I sent this to you in the chat, they just recently removed a rule that would discriminate between races on who gets what type of payout when when the player gets a concussion.
yeah,
Like, why was that ever? First off, why was that ever in place? Second
yeah,
off, why was it in place for so
so
long?
long. Yeah, it's
And
it's
something
there's
else
so
we got to
many crazy
remember.
things.
Something else we got to remember is that all these owners right now. How old is John Gruden? Like 50 something?
Yeah, he's in his
Maybe
50s.
yeah, 50s, maybe 60s. I mean, a lot of these owners are like in their 70s and 80s. Like they were alive when like
A lot
Martin
of this
Luther
stuff was going
King,
down.
right? Like
Yeah,
we forget we're so young we forget that this stuff wasn't that long ago with Martin Luther
yeah,
King marching. I mean, if he would still be alive today if he wasn't killed. He really could still be alive today. We don't really like to, or we can't really imagine how close we were to these extreme scenarios and these touchy subjects. But seriously, I mean, black people were fighting for their rights, fighting for their lives, just to
yeah,
be normal, just to be treated like human beings, literally like in our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation. Like that is how long this has been going on. And that's how close we are to those events. And these owners are so old, shoot, you don't know where they might stand. Let's be honest.
yeah.
Some of those guys, I guarantee,
They have some. Yeah,
yep,
they definitely have some thoughts. They definitely have some. Their mentality is definitely off. Yeah,
some outdated
outdated.
views. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of I wouldn't even say most. I would say probably a good portion of these NFL owners have horrible outdated views. Just their mentality is still stuck back 60, 70 years ago. They're still stuck in that time, and
Yeah.
they haven't gotten a grasp of what reality is today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, another thing that speaking of, now that you brought up that rule, speaking of another rule, um, me personally, I'm not a big fan of the Rooney Rule. I feel like it's kind of like it's like they're like trying to like
The what rule?
the Rooney Rule.
What is that?
So there's it's the rule about it's supposed to be a rule to like help black head coaches get jobs or black coaches get head coaching jobs.
Oh, you know where they get an extra pick or whatever?
Yeah, stuff like
Mm.
that, pretty much. So my thing is that that really shouldn't be a rule. Just let these guys coach. Why
Yeah.
does it have to be a rule that you guys will get some type of what's the word? You're
Compensation.
yeah, you're getting compensation for something. Like, why can't you just hire them without the compensation that you're going to get a pick? Why
Mhm.
why does it need to be? Why do you have to be compensated to hire somebody of color as a head coach? Because there's many coaches of color in the NFL that should be head coaches. Eric Bieniemy, uh, possibly Byron Leftwich, Todd Bowles, some slightly could be a head coach. I mean, there's many more that I could go down the list, but those three alone should be, easily should be head coaching candidates. And, they still aren't head coaches. They're still
Mhm.
offensive coordinators. And, it just seems like they're stuck at that coordinator position. Like they can't
Yeah.
go out and just get that head coaching job like other coaches can.
I think that rule is trying to fix that, but in my opinion, I think this creates more problems because like
Yeah.
it the teams that need that third round compensation are probably going to be rebuilding teams. They're probably going to be bad. So they're probably going to,
They're just setting these
theoretically,
coaches up for failure.
Yep, they're gonna put them in bad situations. They're gonna blame it on them, and then they're gonna fire
And
them when they're
fire them.
good. Bring in
Hmm.
somebody new. It's it's actually really scummy if you think about how this could be
Yeah,
abused. Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't like it when it was introduced. I think it would be okay if it was a later pick. Like a third round pick is a very high pick.
it's still you. That's still valuable. It's very valuable. There's many third round picks that have
Yeah,
turned into Hall of Famers. You know, some of these third round picks are
yeah,
superstars in the NFL now.
yeah. The Ravens grabbed
Diggs,
their starting
Landry.
right guard
Yeah,
from the round. So man, I mean, it's yeah, but it's also something that's so hard to remedy because I feel like they made that reward so enticing because there must be some type of discrimination going on. Like if
yeah.
there's like all these amazing candidates, like Eric Bieniemy, like I remember reading about people were questioning his intelligence in the interview process. Like this
And
guy is
I'm
an
just like,
offensive coordinator to one of
this
the best
guy's,
offenses in
yeah,
the league. What are you talking about? His
yeah.
intelligence?
How could you question his intelligence? He has the best offense. He runs the best
Right.
offense in the
Yeah.
NFL. I mean, he went there to Kansas City, and that whole offense did a complete 360,
Yep.
and they were super explosive. He introduced this whole up tempo. They have their own schemes. Nobody has schemes like them.
Yep.
They're the only team with these weird schemes that nobody else runs. And it's just like, how could you question his intelligence? He brought a whole new offense to the NFL.
It took teams 3 years just to be able to kind of figure out how to stop him. And
Exactly.
it took Wink Martindale, like one of the greatest defensive minds, to be able to figure it out. Like he's an intelligent guy. Like
Yeah, yeah,
even if you don't think
for
he's
sure.
like intelligent, I think people are worried about his maybe his people are confusing charisma with intelligence a lot. I feel like that happens a lot because somebody can talk a lot and like sound like they know what they're doing and like be really confident in it, but not know a single clue about what they're doing.
Yeah,
And that might be the problem there, or it really just might just be straight up like discrimination, like racism.
yeah. I mean, I definitely think Eric Bieniemy, next year when head coaching jobs open up, he should be front of the line. He should be the first one hired. I'm surprised that he didn't get a job this offseason
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, when I heard that, there's all these teams were firing their coaches, I'm like, oh, he's definitely going to get a job. There were so many teams that didn't have head coaches. I'm like, Eric Bieniemy is definitely leaving Kansas City. He's
They
definitely
picked
going to get a job,
they picked
and it just
Urban
didn't
Meyer.
happen. Yeah, Urban Meyer, Dan Campbell, Nick Sirianni, like all these coaches. Like, why are these guys head coaches in the NFL? Like, those three coaches alone should get fired today, easily.
I don't know about Dan Campbell. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's a good guy.
he's a good guy. He's a good guy, but he's kind of just like just based on like what is really going on
That's
with the
true. Yeah.
team. I think Eric Bieniemy could easily. I think he's capable of turning the Lions around. I'm not saying that the Lions have a great team and they just have a horrible coach. They also have a really bad team too.
Yeah.
But I think Eric Bieniemy could have some success in Detroit, where this team could be, have more. Do they even have any wins this year?
Nope. There's still
Okay,
doesn't
yeah, like
as of when we're recording this.
they could have wins. Like if the Jaguars can win a game, the Lions could definitely go out and win a game in 1 week this season.
Honestly, I think the Jaguars would have like they have 2 wins right now, don't they? Two is
Yeah,
it?
I think they will have 3 or 4 wins if they had a better head coach.
I'm not gonna lie. If Eric Bieniemy was coaching, they legit might. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
they could have 3 or 4 wins if Eric Bieniemy was a head coach for
Because
sure.
if he took some of those schemes from Kansas City, brought them over to what Jacksonville was doing, I mean,
They
shoot,
had the personnel.
they have a lot. Yeah, they had a lot of good wide receivers start the year, and DJ Chark just got injured, but I mean, they have Laviska Shenault and they have other guys outside making plays. I just don't, it took Urban Meyer so long just to understand his talent. Like he didn't even
Yeah,
realize who was
what he
on his
had.
team. Because first off, he drafted James Robinson, or sorry, he drafted Travis Etienne
Travis
while he had
Etienne.
James Robinson.
Yeah,
And then he split his snaps with Carlos Hyde for like the first 3 weeks. They lost all three of those games. And yeah, it was just when you have someone like James Robinson, you do not let Carlos Hyde outsnap him.
yeah,
And
and I think the first game they won, James Robinson had the most carries. He had
yes,
ran for like 100 something yards, and he had like I think he had a touchdown or two that game.
yeah,
I mean, it's just so obvious that this guy is clueless. He has no idea what he's doing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like college coaches don't really have a great track record in the NFL. I mean,
Yeah,
with a few exceptions, but for the most part, they're not great. And for the Jags to take a swing on Urban Meyer, a really old college coach who's probably going to retire in a couple years.
Yeah.
Like, why are they going that direction when they have a young up and coming Eric Bieniemy who just,
The high power offense with
right,
under his belt that he could easily come
work
in and
with
change
Andy
the
Reid,
team.
one of the best coaches in the NFL. Like, it's baffling. It's honestly baffling, but yeah, I'm just intrigued what's going to come out of these emails, and I really hope they hold these people accountable. I hope
Yeah.
uh, Dan Snyder gets his due. He's been doing a lot of damage control. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that soon. Because that made me really mad. I'm not gonna lie. What Dan
Yeah.
Snyder
He
did this
is.
past week. But yeah, that's all we got right now. It's being taken to Congress. They're going to be doing the investigation. Some people are like, why is it being taken to Congress? Well, it's because the NFL can't do their own investigation
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's against them, right? So
It's against them. Yeah. They
they're
can't
not going to
investigate
reveal
something
it.
that's going on between the NFL. You can't investigate it. But I
Yeah,
also want to say one thing.
go ahead.
I'm proud of how the Raiders, the team responded
Yes.
with the first game without Gruden. And we had Rich. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's Bashir. I think that's how you say his last name. The new head coach.
I have no idea either.
I butcher it all the time, but I think that's his name. But I mean, Josh Jacobs even said I think he said in his post game interview, he said for the first time, I didn't feel anxious on the sideline. Like I didn't feel like I was gonna get yelled at by Chucky. If something bad happened, I didn't get tense. We were all kind of just cool, calm, and collected. Rich was kind of just he was giving them positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Kind of just like, hey, look, we'll get going. We'll get things rolling. And that's exactly what happened. They started out the game kind of sluggish a little bit, and then Rich kind of talked the guys up, and then the defense clicked, offense started clicking, and then it just went on from there. I think as a whole, that probably was the best 4-quarter game that the Raiders have played all year.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Granted, Denver is not the best, obviously from what we saw on what was that Thursday night. But
Yeah.
we'll talk about that another time. But I'm proud of how the team responded and how well everybody played.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a big statement game. And then not even that, there were injuries in the secondary, and I was scared about that. Like, oh, we got guys out, and then all this stuff is coming out. Now we have guys injured, and then the secondary stepped up. I think we picked off Teddy Bridgewater 3 times. I think Max Crosby had 4 sacks by himself, and I think he got sacked 3 other times by 3 other players. And I think he was pressured on like more than 50% of his snaps. So definitely a big ups to the Raiders. You guys just keep responding that way. Just keep the ball rolling, playing that well. I think it'll be a lot of success coming out of this team.
You were a little bit confused when he got moved up. You were like, why is this guy
Yeah, I
taking?
was like, why this guy? I was, just me as a fan. I was like, why not our Gus Bradley? Why not him? Why isn't he the guy? I would think he's probably more qualified, but obviously, all people always say the special teams guys, they get a grasp of offense and defense.
Yeah.
They're so involved with everybody that they know everybody. They're able to grasp everybody and bring them together as one.
Yeah.
So that's literally their job to do. So if you can make anybody a head coach, definitely it's easier for a special team to be an interim head coach than any other position. So it makes sense. I like the decision. Obviously now I'm loving the decision.
Yeah.
But we'll see how they look this weekend.
The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that I'm not sure how close he and John Gruden were, but they did move. He did hire him I believe he was in Tampa Bay a while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe he did. He was with him in Tampa Bay and followed him to the Raiders. I'm a little concerned if there's something. I think they would have found it already.
Yeah, but I think Rich was the main one. I think he says it really hurt Rich because he says I've been with this guy for years. Gotcha. He said, and me personally, I would never think he was like that because we've had so many different type of players over these years that you would never think that that was his mindset.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little surprising to Rich, and I think it kind of hurt him a little bit. But he had a job to do. Obviously, he has to go and be a head coach. This is his biggest job of his career so far. So obviously it hurts everybody in the team. I thought it was gonna be some conflict in the locker room because there were some guys that were giving Gruden praise on social media and saying like this is wrong, and then there were other guys who were saying like hey, he did the wrong thing. He got what he deserved. So
Yeah.
I thought it would cause some conflict in the locker room, but the guys came together as one and they got the job done. So I'm happy for them.
Yeah, and this is going to be important for you guys because you're going to have you guys are in prime position to be right there with the Chiefs and the Chargers. So
Mm-hmm.
you guys have a good chance to make playoffs if you keep this up.
I believe right now we're tied for first, and then I think the Chiefs are technically, well, they will be second or third, but I think it's us and the Chargers are tied for first, and then Chiefs are third, and then Broncos are last.
Oh man, we gotta make it another video on the Broncos.
Yeah, well, don't worry, we'll talk about the Broncos, and I'll love it, and I'll just I'll be sitting here cheesing, grinning from cheek to cheek, talking about how bad these guys are. But no worries, we'll get a video to you guys soon about them.
All right, well, thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. If you liked, leave a like, subscribe if you feel you enjoy this type of content. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.